A storm was brewing, not in the skies, but in the hearts of two young men, Obinna and Tunde. In a world where survival was a luxury and dreams were expensive, these two undergraduates had no one but each other. Their families had long stopped calling, and the bank of hope had run dry. But they had something more valuable than gold: resilience. By day, they attended lectures with hungry stomachs and weary eyes. By evening, they hustled, cleaning houses, lifting heavy supplies, doing any job that paid. They weren't chasing fame, they were chasing survival. Until one day, survival met opportunity. Obinna and Tunde had a regular gig with Mr. Adebayo, a wealthy businessman known for his silent power and enviable wealth. He dealt in high-value supply, building materials, household goods, industrial items, you name it. He had watched the boys work with such commitment that he kept calling them back. He admired their charisma, their dedication, their energy. After one of their usual exhausting shifts, the boys were about to leave when they found Mr. Adebayo himself at the gate. Seizing the rare chance, they asked, "Sir, please, we want to be like you. What is the secret to your success?" Adebayo smiled and said nothing at first. Then, with a quiet seriousness, he motioned for them to open their palms. "Spread your fingers wide," he instructed. They obeyed. "Now," he continued, "clench your fists." Confused, they looked at him, expecting more. "This," he said, holding his own clenched fist, "is the secret to everything." And just like that, he walked away. They were left speechless. But more than that, they were confused. Was he mocking them because he knew they were poor? Tunde turned to Obinna, his voice heavy with frustration. "Do you think he's just playing with us because of our background?" he asked. They pondered, debated, even argued. Days passed, and the mystery only deepened. A few days later, Tunde and Obinna, still in their search for enlightenment and in pursuit of understanding what Mr. Adebayo had meant the last time they met, decided to approach another businessman. Mr. Hassan was one of the biggest electronics shop owners in the central market. They had once had the opportunity of a lifetime working with him, helping move a large shipment of electronics to his new store. Initially, they were hesitant to ask him anything, nervous about how he might react. But Tunde, being Tunde, a bold and courageous spirit, summoned his courage and walked up to him with Obinna by his side. "We were told something by a wealthy man," they said, explaining the parable of the open palm and clenched fist. "What does it mean?" Mr. Hassan nodded. "Ah," he said, "that is a powerful lesson." He paused, then spoke. "The open hand is you, alone. Your fingers apart, vulnerable, exposed. The clenched fist is unity. It is teamwork. No great empire is built by one man. You need people. You need loyalty. You need collaboration. When you clench your fingers into a fist, you create strength. Together you build." Obinna and Tunde were in awe. The fog had lifted. "And one more thing," Mr. Hassan added. "Beware of unhealthy greed. It will destroy everything you've worked for." They leaned in. "There are two types of greed, healthy and unhealthy. Healthy greed drives you to succeed, to want more, to push limits, but without hurting others. Unhealthy greed seeks gain at another's expense. It exploits, it corrupts. One builds, the other destroys." That night, Obinna and Tunde made a vow to work together, to build wisely, and to never let unhealthy greed take root. Years passed. The boys became men, drawing from years of experience, helping others build their businesses and move goods across markets. They founded a logistics company together. Their earlier days of hustling through small jobs gave them unmatched insights into the supply chain and marketplace dynamics. The business grew steadily, fueled by their unity and work ethic, until it became one of the most recognized logistics firms in the region. They helped connect markets nationwide, and their name became synonymous with trust and efficiency. Their bond had become their secret weapon. Contracts rolled in, investors lined up, and wealth flowed. But something changed. Obinna stayed grounded, still carrying the lesson of the clenched fist in his heart. But Tunde, for some unexplainable reason, began to change. Success had whispered a dangerous lie in his ear. You don't need anyone anymore. The seed of unhealthy greed had been planted. On a fateful day, Tunde received a call from an old client they had previously helped move materials from his old shop to a new one. The transaction had been smooth and professional, which was why the client remembered and trusted him. At the time, Obinna was out of the country, representing their company at an international business conference, a move that was poised to bring them global recognition. Tunde saw Obinna's absence not as a gap, but as an opportunity. Unbeknownst to anyone, he had quietly been building a personal company on the side. He diverted the entire new deal to his secret company, rerouting supplier payments into a private account. The deal was massive, so large that even their joint company would have needed external support to pull it off. But Tunde was blinded by the desire to claim it all for himself. As the contract commenced, cracks began to show. Goods weren't being delivered as promised, yet payments kept pouring in. Clients grew suspicious. Complaints escalated. Within just 2 weeks, chaos erupted. News of the scandal reached Obinna while he was still abroad, in the middle of presenting at the conference. The suppliers had discovered the deception. They were being manipulated by a single man, operating under false pretenses. Then the battle began. He lied to Obinna. He sidelined loyal partners. He tried to undercut the key agent supplying the foreign currency, thinking he could manage it all. But karma, like math, never forgets. The supplier found out and pulled out. The contract collapsed, and so did their reputation. Clients vanished, lawsuits emerged, and within months everything they had built was on the edge of ruin. Obinna tried to salvage what he could. He had warned Tunde, pleaded even, but it was too late. Tunde had allowed greed to cloud his vision, the same greed that promises more but always leaves you with nothing. And here they were, with nothing. All their years of hard work had been thrown away by a single man's greed. Tunde watched his empire crumble. He had lost partners, friends, money. Even Obinna had to walk away for his own peace. In the silence that followed, Tunde remembered Mr. Adebayo's parable. He looked at his palm. Open. Empty. He clenched it. Too late. This story isn't fiction. It is a mirror, a reflection of choices we make every day in our lives, our careers, our relationships, and our ambitions. From Obinna and Tunde's journey, we learn that success is never built alone. It is born from shared sweat, mutual respect, and unwavering teamwork. A clenched fist, unified and strong, can move mountains, but a scattered hand working alone is vulnerable and fragile. We also learn that ambition is not the enemy. In fact, it fuels progress. But when ambition is corrupted by selfishness, when it evolves into unhealthy greed, it becomes a silent saboteur. It promises more, but ultimately takes everything. Tunde had it all, but in trying to keep everything for himself, he lost everything. Greed doesn't just destroy wealth. It destroys trust, bonds, legacies, and sometimes even oneself. So ask yourself, will you build with others or tear down in solitude? Will you seek progress that lifts all or profit that drowns one? Because in life you can either open your hand to receive or clench your fist to build. The choice, as always, is yours. Stay safe and cheers.